The winter weather advisory just issued for this, the return of snow, at times heavy, and some rain.
I was sitting at a dead stop at a traffic light and didn't have any way to avoid it.
A woman with life-altering injuries after a dump truck crash is taking legal action against the driver and the company. Why she says they need to be held accountable.
Strengthening protections for pets and animal welfare. I'm Stephanie Wade, talking with one city council member who's taking action tonight.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
We begin now at 5 with a winter weather advisory. Snow and rain are less than 24 hours away, and both could be heavy depending on where you live.
Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is tracking this tricky forecast. Kevin.
And Mark and Amanda, this winter, if you say snow, we all perk up because we haven't had much in the way of snow. Weather advisory has been issued starting tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. So we are dry until then. I just want to pick up the timeline. We'll slowly and methodically go through this. I'm sure you've heard a lot of talk about potential snowfall amounts. It's just that potential. I think Indy will be a dividing line between more consistent snow to the north and a wintry mix to the south. 1 to 4. Think back to Sunday. Remember when we had that burst of heavy, wet snow, large snowflakes because they were sticking together? I think that's a similar situation tomorrow afternoon. By 7 o'clock, you begin to see the rain-snow line knocking on the door of Indy, but the snow continues to the north. Exactly where that rain-snow line sets up will have a bigger impact on our snowfall potential. The advisory from just Indianapolis north all the way to the state line with Michigan, 2 to 5 inch snowfall potential. We'll break that down even more and talk about what happens after the snow coming up.
And all of a sudden I saw this dump truck barreling down the road behind me, and I wasn't concerned. I just thought, I hope he can stop.
New tonight, an Indianapolis woman says her life will never be the same after a dump truck crashed into her SUV. Now she's filed a lawsuit against the driver and the trucking company.
Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny has been digging into details of this crash since it happened on September 3rd in Avon. She joins us now with a story you will only see on RTV6. Kara.
Thank you, Mark and Amanda. This lawsuit is one of at least 3 filed against truck driver Danny Williams and his company, North American Environmental Services. According to police, Williams was high on heroin at the time of the wreck. The September crash killed Gerald and Rhonda Legan and forever changed the lives of many others. Sue-Ann Bodine loves living an active lifestyle, working, traveling, cooking, and spending time with family.
In a blink of an eye, your life can change.
On September 3rd, she was on her way back to the office when she stopped her SUV at a traffic light on Rockville Road in Avon.
And all of a sudden I saw this dump truck barreling down the road behind me, and I realized he was not going to stop.
Danny Williams was behind the wheel of that dump truck, court records show, and he told police he'd been snorting heroin.
I woke up with a man holding my hand, and he said, "You have a lot of angels around you because you shouldn't be here."
The crash paralyzed Sue-Ann from the waist down. She's now a paraplegic.
In just moments, my life was in a shambles. My hopes and dreams for the future are gone, at least at this moment. I can't drive. I can't work.
Sue-Ann now relies on round-the-clock nursing care. Her medical bills are mounting. She filed a lawsuit against Danny Williams and the trucking company, North American Environmental Services, based out of Zionsville. The lawsuit alleges the dump truck was underinsured and the company negligently hired and supervised Williams, and that Williams failed to operate his commercial motor vehicle with reasonable care. As Call 6 Investigates reported, Williams had at least 25 violations on his driving record, including speeding, improper use of center lane, and disregarding traffic signals. And in 2015, the state suspended his CDL for a year after Williams was convicted of driving while intoxicated.
Society needs to be protected from people like that.
Gerald and Rhonda Legan died in the crash, and despite Sue-Ann's challenges, she still feels lucky to be alive.
I'd like to travel someday. I had a trip planned that I had to cancel. I was going to Italy to have cooking lessons and learn about wines.
Bucket list?
Still on it. Definitely.
We reached out to Williams, the trucking company, and the insurance company for comment on this lawsuit, and we did not get any statements back from them. He is no longer employed with that trucking company. Williams is facing 7 criminal charges stemming from the crash, and his trial is scheduled for March 18th. Amanda?
And we are following a developing story from the city's northeast side. A chase involving Lawrence police officers and 2 shoplifting suspects ended in a police-involved shooting this afternoon. The pursuit ended on East 56th Street at the I-465 interchange. A Lawrence Police Department spokesman said a Lawrence officer shot and wounded one of the suspects. He is expected to survive. The second suspect was arrested. Police were not shot at by the suspects.
Now to the latest on the efforts to tackle Indianapolis's violent crime rate. People are frustrated and say their voices aren't being heard when it comes to real solutions. We showed you that firsthand Monday when a crowd interrupted a news conference downtown. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum spoke to people today in one of the city's most vulnerable neighborhoods, and they shared what they think could curb violent crime.
Community is going down. Deplorable.
That's how some people living on the northeast side of Indianapolis describe the state of their neighborhood. The community is still dealing with the loss of 4 young adults after a quadruple homicide last week. Many living in the area say poverty and violence have been an ongoing issue, and they're frustrated with several local leaders.
People downtown want to give you what they think you need instead of asking you what you really need.
Some people living in this area say they know better than anyone else what the community needs, and they feel like their voices are not being heard. So we talked to people at the Community Alliance of the Far East Side. Those there today say a lack of grocery stores, transportation, and jobs have led to poverty. They think there needs to be more job training in their community and more places for kids to go.
Because there's a lot of killing going on, and we need a place where they can come together so we can educate them to let them know it's more than getting angry and picking up a gun, killing somebody, taking someone's life.
Some of that work is already being done at the Boys and Girls Club across the street, but some residents say that alone is not enough. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Tonight, Metro Police are making a renewed push for information regarding recent unsolved homicides. The murder of a Subway restaurant employee on Shadeland Avenue on January 27th, and last week's murders of 4 young adults at the Carriage House East Apartments. For the next 48 hours, the number to IMPD's homicide unit will be staffed to take tips about either crime. That number is 317-327-3475. It's on your screen. Reporting to that number is not anonymous. If you need to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS.
A city in Hamilton County could soon see stricter protections for pets during this time of year. Having laws in place is critical to protecting animals in the cold. RTV6's Stephanie Wade explains what a new Carmel City ordinance would require pet owners to do.
The ordinance a Carmel City Council member is introducing next week gives law enforcement the tools to actually take action when they receive calls from concerned neighbors for things like pets being left outside in the extreme heat or cold.
A tire and is just sitting outside in the backyard. You know, I've seen puppies hunkered down inside of that in the winter, and someone thinks that's okay.
Everything from
calls about animals left in vehicles, animals abandoned in homes,
to
how long an animal can be tethered or tied outside, which is not 24 hours a day.
Rebecca Stevens with the Hamilton County Humane Society says there are many gray areas when defining animal cruelty.
I think our state law leaves a lot of room for improvement.
And so do local city ordinances throughout the county.
What is adequate? What is good enough?
In the fall, she worked with Hamilton County commissioners to overhaul the animal cruelty ordinance, defining things like adequate shelter and medical care. Except that only applies to county-incorporated areas, not cities. Now she's working with Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville, and Carmel to update their language too. Adam Ossen on Carmel City Council is the first city representative to step up and draft new legislation.
This adds more specifics, and that's really important because when an officer is going out and talking to someone, instead of pointing to a law that may need some interpretation, it specifically says in there, this is what adequate shelter is, this is the appropriate temperature, this is the kind of tether or chain that is okay and that won't hurt an animal's neck.
His proposed ordinance also states pet stores cannot sell pets obtained from puppy mills or backyard breeders, and they must separate any sick animals from healthy ones to prevent spread of disease.
I'm new to government, but I've always believed that government's role is to protect those that can't protect themselves, and certainly animals fall into that category.
Working for you in Carmel, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
And the ordinance will be introduced next Monday, February 17th. Anyone can speak and share thoughts at the council meeting. To see the full proposed ordinance, head over to our website at theindychannel.com.
Well, he's been back on the court for a few weeks now, and tonight he's back on RTV6. The Pacers' Victor Oladipo returning to Vic on 6 tonight. Sports director Dave First sits down with the Pacers guard tonight on the news at 6. It comes as the Pacers have lost 6 straight games with just 1 game remaining before the All-Star break. Just adding Oladipo to the roster isn't as easy as it looks.
There's a chemistry out there that you guys are still trying to form.
Yeah, we're trying to definitely form that and get used to each other. And, I don't think people realize, me coming back in, I'm obviously have a strong personality and a strong, game that demands a lot of attention and whatever the case may be. So you got to really adjust to something like that.
The Pacers host the best team in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks, tomorrow night. Vic on 6 tonight on the news at 6.
Ahead tonight on the Now Indy at 5:30, it could be the life-saving message someone out there needs to hear tonight. RTV6 is going red for women, sharing the importance of heart health. One woman's candid story about her brush with death.
But first here at 5, hearing straight from young people about a problem that affects their lives, teen violence. Our project with local high school journalists to bring you a story through their eyes about an issue they feel needs to be highlighted.
And it's all about location as far as snowfall potential for tomorrow. We'll take you step by step through the forecast.
Every night, and you know this, it seems like we're hearing on the news about a teenager shot, killed.
It's a topic that impacts our entire city.
When you watch the news, it seems like it's getting closer.
But this isn't your typical news story. RTV6, along with our parent company Scripps, is teaming up with area high schools for National News Literacy Week.
So throughout the interview, you're going to be looking right at her.
I partnered with students from my alma mater, Ben Davis High School, working alongside my former communications teacher, Mr. Goins, and his students from BDTV. We came up with a story idea.
One of the topics was teen violence.
Do they have any initiatives that they're really trying to reach out to students to keep them on the right track?
Giant Kings is something you can get connected to. You were no different. You were connected.
And together we conducted the interviews, students even using their own cameras to capture footage.
Why do you believe this is still going on?
Because it helps everyone. Everybody that comes here, it feels like a whole brotherhood.
The goal is by doing this story together, we are not only mentoring young journalists, but we are helping the next generation of news consumers, giving them skills to be able to dig through information and distinguish reliable information in today's media.
Think of the audience, who'd be watching this and who we want to impact the most. What message would you give them before you leave?
Stay strong. Keep your head up.
And together, for National News Literacy Week, we produced this story.
I used to think that I was the baddest person on the streets.
Zandel Miller grew up in Chicago. Throughout his life, he's faced challenges.
I was the type of person I wanted to fight every day. I was so angry at the world.
The Ben Davis Sr. says those feelings had a lot to do with how he grew up.
My mindset, I didn't have nobody there for me. I was a kid that had an adoption home. Now when I got adopted from, I didn't like that place. I didn't like it because I didn't feel like nobody understood me. We are a Giant King.
We are Giant Kings.
Now, some of that has changed. Living in Indianapolis in a new chapter of his life, he finally feels like he has a place where he belongs.
Giant Kings is a brotherhood.
As part of the Scripps News Literacy campaign, I sat down alongside RTV6 reporter Nicole Griffin to find out how the Giant Kings program is impacting the lives of students at Ben Davis.
Sometimes you can feel really lonely, especially with like the increase in like depression and everything. We can help you.
We create a space for them to flourish. We talk about things that they're concerned with in their community, in their home. They see that they're not alone. There's some commonalities.
Sherman Woodard created Giant Kings in 2004. It's a program for African-American male students that focuses on identity, leadership, and education development.
The focus isn't on like necessarily individual success. The focus on how are you going to be part of a solution and improving our communities.
You could be great. You guys are already great.
The group meets twice a week at the high school, but they also have a program with the Littles at Chapelwood Elementary School. Here they focus on skill building. They read about African-American males who are leaders.
Think 24 hours ahead, think 15 minutes ahead of your actions now.
They also look at the root cause of violence to help Giant Kings be part of the solution.
Poverty is violence. Lack of opportunity is violence. Discrimination is violence. These are the roots of the problem that lead to what we see as a symptom as far as teen violence. And so we help young African-American males understand where this comes from. And then we put the onus on them to be a part of the solution.
Woodard says the group is seeing success. In the year since his first class of guys graduated in 2007, Giant King members have a 97% graduation rate.
To be honest, if I never would have found this club, I would have never found out who I was. I might be behind bars. We are leaders today and tomorrow.
We are leaders today and tomorrow.
Working for you on the West Side, Vanessa Tessino for RTV6.
Well done there. We also take our role very seriously in providing you accurate information about this year's presidential election. And right now, the polls are still open in New Hampshire in the nation's first primary. The first votes were cast just after midnight in the tiny town of Dixville Notch. The community near the Canadian border has cast the first votes in New Hampshire for several decades. 5 votes were cast.
That's 1 vote for Michael Bloomberg.
And now on the Democrat side, there was 1 vote for Buttigieg, 1 vote for Sanders, and 2 write-in votes for Mike Bloomberg.
Well, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg wasn't even on the ballot, but he won Dixville Notch. Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar won early votes in 2 other tiny townships. For the rest of the results, we'll have to wait until later this evening. All polls close by 8 p.m. ABC News plans a brief special report once the totals are in.
That's reporting, isn't it? They just write it right up there for
right
you.
On
You get
there,
to see
right?
it. All 92 counties in Indiana won't be reporting snow until after 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Then we'll kind of wait and see how it unfolds here. Exciting times. If you want some snow, certainly that's on the way. I'll compare this to Sunday in the sense that when it sets in, the temperature's above freezing, the snowflakes melting but sticking together. They'll be large, and I think it will be heavy for a bit. 38 and dry. That's the story right now. Let's move on from that. That's our winter weather advisory. Again, goes into effect 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon through Thursday at 1 o'clock. There'll be quite a bit of variability. This does not impact your morning drive tomorrow. The evening drive is in play. Snow and rain. The rain in the southern half of the state. The snow continues for northern half of the state, and then I think that's where the greatest snowfall potential will be. Let's talk about your Wednesday planner. Temperatures during the day Wednesday will climb above freezing. That's another thing working in our favor on the roadway. It will start melting some of this, but when you get that burst of heavier snow, it can overcome the temperatures that are warm in the air and on the surface of the road, so I think that will overpower the situation a bit. 1 o'clock, Terre Haute, Bloomington, Seymour, the precipitation arriving. That's your burst of heavier snow. Will drop visibility. Will also quickly cover roads at 4 o'clock, then through 7. This is where it gets interesting, and this line here will be critical in how it plays out right over the metro area. Will it drift north, allow some rain into Indianapolis, all snow to the north? That line will kind of vacillate here here over the next 12 to 24 hours. There's your snowfall potential from one model to the south. Look at how quickly snowfall potential drops off. Indy in that 2 to 5 range, and then to the north 3 to 5, I would put it, as you start getting into northern portions of the state. Storm Shield app, it's free for your phone. You can keep track of this with your radar right to your phone as well. Thursday, the story will be falling temperatures and snow showers. 32 in the morning. Temperatures will be into the mid-20s late in the day. Some of those snow showers will be pretty good bursts of snow. That's with the Arctic air returning, and it will send our temperatures into the single digits as we get to the end of the work week. How about your Valentine's Day morning? 6 degrees. Afternoon high temperature optimistically at about 20. That is significantly colder than we've been, but it's only here briefly. Temperatures rebound already Saturday, 38. 41 on Sunday, back into the lower 50s with rain chances Monday and Tuesday.
Been a roller coaster with the temperatures.
So 24 hours from now is when we have some action. Dry in the morning.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, and the transition from one mascot to the next step in the journey for Butler Blue 4 to take the mantle.
Call Keller & Keller right now.
Welcome back. Butler Blue 4 is getting ready to take the next step in his training to become Butler University's mascot. Blue 3, or Trip, tweeted that his successor is picking up the mascot duties pretty quickly, so he's feeling good about passing the collar to the pup. This is a picture of Trip's collar ceremony from several years ago. The ceremony will take place before Butler's game at Hinkle Fieldhouse on Saturday, February 29th. Trip will still be the official mascot and report for duty until May.
All new at 6 p.m. here on RTV6. The search for answers to stop the surge in gun violence continues. We found out there was once an ordinance designed to help curb crime. We'll show you why it didn't last and ask what is needed to make our streets safer.
Tonight, comedy and politics will unite in a unique live broadcast here on RTV6. We'll look ahead to tonight's history-making live episode of The Connors. We'll be right back with the Now Indy.